Welcome back to the next episode of the Ecom Growth Show. I'm your host, Danon Coleman, founder of Ecom Triage, seller of 15 years, and software and SaaS provider for 7 years. I've got a really special guest with me. His name's Sean Travis. He is a seller, a philanthropist, and to his fellow first responders. We're going to get into that first, and then also a consultant. So, Sean, thank you very much for agreeing to be on the show. Good to have you here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So tell us about you in regards to being a seller, philanthropist, and as well as a consultant to Amazon brands.
What that means or why I did it.
You know what? Why don't we start off with your history? Who are you? Like, I know you were a firefighter, but how the hell did you end up in ecom?
Yeah, it's a great question. So spent 14 years as a firefighter in LA, with obviously the big department here. One of the world's largest, and promoted through the ranks, was about to be captain right before retiring. I think with every major shift in life, we have the cheese at the end of the maze and then the cat, at the beginning of it. So we got the thing we don't want to go back to. And then obviously the grass is greener thing that we're chasing. I'll start with the pain point. Obviously, loved the job. The job was amazing. However, it became a schedule where I was only home maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And remember, every day work is at least a 24-hour shift, right? It's not like you wake up and then you're coming home for dinner.
Yeah. That's why you sleep there if you sleep.
Yeah, if you sleep. That's why firefighters take naps, dude. You're only sleeping 2 to 5 hours a night, and they're intermittent, right? And the schedule was getting terrible, and I used to joke with my wife, it was called the divorce starter kit, because God love her, man, she never complained a day in her life. Absolutely amazing, super lucky. Actually, don't even know how I ended up with her, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. That will have you and your wife on my wife and I's other episodes, Sippy Cups and Startups, and where we talking about being entrepreneurs as couples and as parents.
Oh man. Yeah. I honestly think your spouse is the world's best partner. As long as you're not one of those couples that can't be caught in the same room together, which we all know for some reason that works out for them.
Yeah. I know. I don't understand it, but like my wife sits right here with me, and we can be in each other's companies 24/7.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine with both of us. We love it.
Yeah. I mean, well, it makes sense. Think about it. You are the yin to each other's yang. You have the same dreams. You already share a bank account.
Yeah.
Right. You're already delved into each other's assets, and you see the best in each other. Pretty sure that's the best business partner the world ever came up with, but
absolutely.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's cool to see when couples do that. So anyways, I'm working with LA Fire. That had always been the dream, but for some reason I knew that instead of going the full 30-year career, right? That's what most guys go in for. Because then at the end of 30, you get your lifetime pension and all these benefits and stuff, because you pretty much sacrifice your youth for a service, and your life expectancy after retirement is 7 years. So of course we'll pay you out, right? Yeah. Which a lot of people don't know, right? So retire at 55, die at 62. It's a good life. But that being said, stressed, underrested, overworked, that whole thing. And then here's where it kind of gets a little dark. I was fighting a bunch of injuries. I was in my 30s, and I'm fighting a back surgery and a shoulder surgery. And as soon as you go off work, guys start talking shit about you. So the whole brotherhood thing exists as long as you're not, as long as you're helping them, right? As long as you're helping each other. But as soon as you need help, it's this weird thing. It's like dog eat dog world. If you're not in the room, you're the one having shit talked about. It's the weirdest thing. And no one believes it's happening about them.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. But that plus then I lost a couple buddies, 1 in a fire, and then 3 to suicide. And so I'm giving the context, right? I'm creating a container here to show.
Look, dude, I appreciate you opening up like this, because it always makes for the best stories when somebody does. Because what you have to say will almost certainly help someone listening to it, to this.
I hope so, because it's real, right?
Yeah.
It's real, right? I was getting injured, and people were shit talking me about it. I was losing buddies in the line of duty, and like there was no help. It was a
Yeah.
very strange time.
Mm.
Suicide actually is the number one cause of death for first responders and military. Why is
Yep.
that? We'll figure
Yep.
that out. So that being said, with that container, it hit me like a Mack truck in the face. Like, hey, maybe this isn't the next 20 years of your life. Like maybe we try to think of something else.
Mhm.
And I had already been playing around with, you know, how do I get into another career that doesn't trade time for money? You know, I was college educated, you know, got in a few medical schools. So I was, you know, successful there. Obviously didn't go. I went to the fire department instead. And so I'm trying to think like, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to go just into another job. How do I build my own business? Right. How do I create that, you know,
American dream.
American dream, exactly. How do I become my own boss and start delegating and automating and growing the thing? But at the time, I got to be honest, I didn't even know what an LLC stood for. So, you know,
Yeah.
I was starting fresh,
Yeah.
and um, that's when my wife and I were dating, and we were both wanting to build something online. So she was working in sports for the LA Rams at the time.
Okay.
She was working for their
So you
stadium.
married a cheerleader. Got it.
Oh, she could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
she could have been. Everyone asked, but no, she was working for the stadium, so doing all the seats and the premium packages and all that stuff. But
That's right. She'll always be a cheerleader to me. Like, yeah, this dude married a
she
the
she's the
firefighter
world's
married
best
the
cheerleader.
cheerleader. What
Yeah,
kind of how much better could the story get? You know?
yeah. I believe you. You when you see her, you're like, yeah, no, that would have been a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah, she definitely fits the mold. But so we started, you know, did the whole DIY, bought a program, you know, and started cutting our teeth at it. You know, both working full time, well paid jobs, and you know, in LA, we get paid well as firemen because
Yeah,
with
because it's freaking expensive to live there.
not only that, you're the most trained firefighter in the world, right? So
Really?
yeah, we do hazmat, we do USAR, so fire. I was also paramedic, right? So 87% of our calls, I'm actually a paramedic. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, if you have
So
a
a little bit of a side story here. This is why
yeah,
you're a hero to me, is
yeah,
because I've required your services twice. And I've been saved. My life has been saved by somebody like you.
holy
So
cow.
I salute you for your service.
I want to know those stories, man.
I'll tell you if you want to hear it.
Yeah, you throw it on me.
All
Now
right.
I'm
So
curious.
this is actually also how I got into ecom. So I was a traveling salesman for in a chiropractic consulting company, and I was on my way to work. My office was 4 miles away, and I'm riding my motorcycle on my way to work, and a bus went into the intersection. A school bus went in coming the opposite direction, made a hard left turn suddenly into my intersection as I entered it, and I went into the side of the bus.
Jeez.
And so I broke my clavicle, scapula, 5 ribs, pelvis pelvis all the way across, leg in 3 places, and ruptured my spleen, lung, and kidney. And so I, got peeled off of the pavement and put onto a cart into a ambulance down the road to the golf course, which was, I think they charged me $800 to basically like let off the gas and then end at the golf course at the bottom of the hill, and then helicoptered out and then, had to relearn how to walk and blah, 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 all that stuff. And so my, when I was at home, for the most part, I was just in a wheelchair for 30, 45 days, something like that. At that time, I wasn't doing much of anything. I couldn't even lift my body out of bed. I had to have my wife actually grab my head and my back and move me up to sitting position because I couldn't actually move my own body. Weirdest thing. Like, I didn't break my neck. I didn't break my back.
It was just
But
locked.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it was like muscularly, I was so weak. I
Mm,
actually went into the hospital at 2:30 and came out 11 days later after surgeries and stuff like that at 190.
mm.
So,
Jeez.
no, sorry, 220. So I lost 30 pounds
Yeah.
in 11 days. Best weight loss I've ever done. Uh,
Yeah, go get hit by a bus. Got
yeah, exactly.
it.
Um, and so once I was on a cane and able to move around and primarily off the painkillers, because God, that was just like a real mental like block. Just being on those painkillers, and I was angry on them. Like I hated it. But there's a fine line between needing to alleviate the pain and not, So, um, eventually I was had enough cognitive power to work, and I had to figure out how to make money, and I'm disabled at this point, like fully disabled, and uh but my hand still works, my head still works okay. A little worse for wear, but I've got to make money online. And about 3 months after I started basically pounding the phones trying to sell stuff for a company I used to work with, uh, a buddy of mine mentioned just casually, "Oh, I got my product on Amazon, my vitamin on Amazon." I was like, "What? Can I sell it too?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And so I started selling supplements on Amazon, and that was May, I think May of 2010. And so by June, August, we are on the verge of filing for medical bankruptcy because despite being promised my job back, I was let go because I was unable to show up to work, right?
Mhm.
Now, okay, fine, but I didn't I called my insurance company and they said, "Well, you're not covered." I'm like, "What the hell do you mean I'm not covered? I called you guys last year or whenever it was to verify that I was covered under any vehicle I owned." And they said, "You said yes." And the response was, "Oh, well, a vehicle is defined as anything with four or more wheels." And my because I'm 20 something years old at this point. I didn't care about the motorcycle, right? So I didn't my opinion was I don't need motorcycle insurance. I don't care about the motorcycle. But I called, this was Geico, by the way. I called Geico to confirm. And then when I had the accident, I got that response. I'm like, that's a mighty effing convenient definition for only you.
Mhm.
You know? So
Yeah.
I didn't have any insurance. Anyhow, the shortcutting all of this, we made our first sales on Amazon April, May, June, something like that, 2010. And within the first month, I only needed to make like $500 more to not have to like have my truck towed away
Yeah.
and pay our mortgage. I had like a $200 truck payment and our mortgage was like $700 at this time.
Mhm.
And we made it, and that was with Amazon. And so then we leaned hard into it.
So
And yeah,
here's this common theme. And
yeah.
obviously your success, right? Like that's the assumption with this whole thing.
Okay.
Like we've both had ebbs and flows. Like I'm sure we got some
Mhm.
freaking battle scars and we've
Mm.
earned some stripes, but we're
Yeah.
both sitting here telling you like this shit works, right?
Yeah.
So here's a hilarious and I say hilarious because it's so ironic, probably because we both had to go through it, and probably because whatever special snowflake out there needs to hear this, right? Our problems are our own and woe is me, all this stuff.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we need to
Interesting
have our back.
commentary from someone from LA
Yeah.
once again.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, we, for whatever reason, need to have our back against the walls with like no other option to then create a lifestyle of leverage.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that is.
I don't
Some
know
people
why,
figure it
and I
out real
don't
early.
prefer it that way either, by the way. I'd rather just be like, "Ah,
Yeah.
tra-la-la, I'm
Yeah.
rich."
Like if everything is good and gravy, then for whatever reason, I'm going to go pick out a hard job that's trading time for effort. But if I have no other option because my back's against the wall and it's this or nothing at all, then all of a sudden my brain's going to go into problem solving mode. Reticular activating system's going to kick on and I'm going to figure this out. It's going to be, our brain is the best problem solving machine known on earth and better than AI even, right? AI can't reason apparently. And it's going to figure out this problem solving in a way that leverages, right? I cannot get out of bed and I can only use my hand and my head. So we're going to build an online business where everyone else does all the physical work for me. Look at that.
Yeah.
Or I'm a fireman and I can't ever get out of here because we're freaking get force hired or recalled all the time. And I need to figure out a way to create income where I don't need to be there. And I can't use my phone because I'm constantly on call. So it has to be something that I'm able to do in between calls without taking a lot of mental capacity. Oh, that's like online businesses. And what am I going to do? Well, I can't be service based. It's got to be product based because,
Yep.
again, time for effort. So it's
Yeah.
like this fascinating thing that like there's companies that, I'm friends with the founders where they're doing 600-700 million a year, and they didn't have to go through that. They like, they just decided, you know what? That looks like a really good boat to get into. I'm going to start rowing in that boat instead of trying this one over here that only takes me so far. I'm going to take that boat that'll get me all the way across the Pacific. I'm going to
Yeah.
just start there.
Yeah.
And some people made that smart decision where like, yeah, I'm going to start building SaaS programs and CPG brands with recurring revenue right now, as opposed to, doing whatever stupid thing we figure out we need to do because woe is me and I'm not good enough and I don't know. And,
Well, that
I'll do
I
that
would say
later.
the biggest problem is I don't know
Mhm.
what you just said, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. Well,
Or we
in the
don't know what we
age,
don't know. That's the better thing.
oh, for sure. In the age of information, like sometimes people forget that you can just pick up the damn phone and make a phone call to some area in which you have some interest and just say, "Hey, I'm learning about this." Like think of yourself as a child, and bring your child to Workday, contacting some company like, "You wanna get into to Boeing? Cool." Contact Boeing on the
Ask them how to do
phone.
it.
Yeah, like, "Hey, if I'm interested in doing this, where do you have any resources
Yeah.
that I could go and start to learn?" And then
Now we
get
can
yourself
chat
into
GPT
groups.
that.
Yeah, exactly. You can ChatGPT it, and then you can also ChatGPT like, "Hey, what are the groups that are out there that are for this? Good, join those groups." And then start giving them your mathematical formulas for rocket surgery, you know? And but yeah, I not knowing is one of the poorest excuses. I'll figure it out. Now that's I think what most many entrepreneurs I know is that are successful. They go, "Well, I'll just figure it out." And they go and they crash themselves into the subject, sift through all the data, or they just try it out, fail, learn, you know. You put a quote on here, "You cannot fail if you do not quit." I couldn't agree with that more. K Was it Edison that said I who was doing the light bulb? I think it was Edison. No, I forget who it was. I should know this, but, I didn't fail, I found 1,000 ways that it didn't work,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
that was Edison.
Yeah, okay, it
Yeah.
was Edison, yeah. So, all right. Anyhow, yeah, we've gone deep here already. This is what are we? We're 20 minutes in. Jeez, supposed to have this podcast done by now. Just kidding. So, um, you also help your first responders.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was able to build this out, right? My wife and I built out our own brands. And then back then we started an agency, which is a whole other story, but essentially signed a partnership with a convicted felon for fraud and financial crimes.
Very good.
And then he did what someone who is convicted of that would do and freaking stole a bunch of money and blew that up.
Yeah,
But that's a
nice.
whole other story, right? So don't do that.
Yeah,
Background check people you are signing contracts with because we did
mm,
not. We just took the old devil's word for what it was. And
yeah,
obviously he lied about it. We didn't know about it. And then we found out later. And that's when the whole thing blew up. But okay. So back to the question. So helping first responders, right? I help firefighters, law enforcement, military, doctors, nurses, educators for the most part, right? Service-based jobs, right? People who are called to a service where pay may not be the number one contributor, right? It's the actual work that they're doing, right? And so I used to be that, and we're the most inclined to teach the person that we used to be. So I know exactly where that came from. And, my wife and I were able to build out our brands big enough in that agency until it blew up to where I could retire, where we both will retire, quote unquote, transition, right? Where we could do this full time, where I could walk away from a job where people never walk away from, apparently. And yeah, the rumors that go around there are hilarious too. Like, because it's funny, people in a certain path of life will be flabbergasted if you choose something else because for whatever reason, it's unvalidating their choice for that path. And so they have to somehow bring you down to validate that.
Make themselves right for not doing it.
Yeah, they're like,
Mm.
"Whoa, that guy left. Oh, he must have gotten fired. There's no way he just left." Or, "Oh my god, he must have had a mental breakdown." And it's like, I literally heard this story that apparently I had a breakdown and I'm now surfing in Costa Rica and trying to start a surf camp. And I'm like, "What?"
That doesn't sound.
Like,
Well, I'm gonna be honest. That doesn't sound so bad.
no, it doesn't. But at the same time, like, no,
Yeah.
like it was so far fetched. But this is the story that like guys are telling instead of your text message away. Like, God
Yeah.
forbid,
Exactly.
ask.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a whole other thing. The old dynamic of the first responder military world. Best thing about the job are the guys. Worst thing about the job are the guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've got a buddy. He's a pastor here in Florida, and for whatever reason, his church has an extraordinary amount of ex-military. His whole family is for generations is and has been military. He never joined. He went the alternate route, but you could argue the exact opposite route as military. But yeah, so he helps a lot of first responders as well, and has talked to quite a few people off of that ledge that they often find themselves. Um, but yeah, so it's yeah, and I myself, I have a history, not personally in military. You could consider me a second responder. Um, do you I there was I can't remember what year was, but it was dubbed the firestorms of San Bernardino or Southern California or something like that. So I as a a child, I've done disaster response most of my life. So I've been in different countries and of course our country and the firestorms of San Bernardino, I was actually helping to direct the military because everyone evacuated onto the military base into their hangars. And so I do have my own experience with military as well, but helping people is a primary drive of mine. Like this podcast, for instance, I don't charge for it. It's free for everyone to attend. It's free for the information, but it costs me money, to do this. But I do this because I just want people like you have such valuable information or valuable stories that if one person per episode gets something that changes their lives or their business for the better, that's worth it for me, you know?
yeah, absolutely. I hear you,
So,
man.
yeah. Well, um,
But let me dive into that a little bit more with
yeah, I was gonna ask you
why
why
we're
do you
building.
like working?
Yeah. So yeah, this is like a long-winded story, but so right, we're most inclined to help those that we used to be. I keep saying that, but when setting the whole container of firemen are tired and angry and all that stuff. Obviously it depends on the department, but the culture is really tough. The hours are really tough, and suicide's the number one cause of death. Like, what's getting them there? And then also parlay that with, do we have the skills to do other careers, right? And when I was about to, transition out of the fire service, I wasn't sure that I did. And then I realized one, as soon as we're mission oriented, we go to work. It's like this weird thing that's ingrained in us, right? So very mission oriented. And then two, structures and systems. We operate so well within those forms that it's kind of unbelievable, right? That's how you're trained.
Yeah.
Everything has, rule 5, you're in command of rule 5, everyone has specific jobs, and then, you delegate and you automate everything. And the moment that I learned that that's exactly how you run a business is the moment I realized it's the same skills just translated over. And one of the stories that I told my wife once, and she goes, "That this is unbelievable. This is what you need to share with other guys." Is I was talking about an MCI, the first MCI that I went on. So
MCI?
you have what's called ICS and MCI. So
Okay.
Incident Command System, and then
Yeah.
MCI, which is a multiple casualty incident. So everything
Okay.
over 5 patients.
Okay.
It's going to demand more resources than just you and your crew. And MCI you build from the ground up, so how you would build a business, and then ICS is the tiered down approach of how that tree system should build to, right? And it's the same thing in business. It's right. You start with just you, and then you're going to hire help, and then you're going to hire ads and all this stuff. And you're going to build that V shape and you're going to build up. But to what point, right? What are you actually getting to? And that's where you need to see the tiered down system. And that's the goal. And so your MCI is building into the ICS structure, if that makes sense, right?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
And so I told her about this call,
Where's your whiteboard?
yeah, exactly. Right. It's very whiteboard-esque. And
Yeah.
um,
I see it. I see a diamond shape going on right now.
exactly. Yep. And that diamond is, you would think clear cut, clean and dry, but it's a whole series of mistakes that you're constantly correcting the entire time,
Yeah.
also in business.
Yeah.
We've just learned over and over again in actual life and death situations how to keep it cool. And then in business, we think everything is the old, putting out small fires daily. It's like, or it feels like life and death daily, and it's like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Nothing in business is a big deal, like ever. Even when like Amazon shuts down your account and longshoremen go on strike, it's like, yeah, well, I guess we'll figure it out.
Yes.
No one's
Yeah.
birthday got canceled. Like we're fine.
Yeah.
And and so just coming with that attitude and realizing that, I started teaching guys that and like being like, hey, you have the system and structure. It's just like change the name,
Yeah.
instead of like firefighter, you're the operator. Instead of manager, you're the captain. Instead of like it just all this stuff that they would understand. And then lights started popping. Um, and so we have the skill set just because we didn't like create some SaaS program and we're not,
Yeah.
coders.
You're just looking at it, the skill set, like with
Yeah.
blinders on, going, I am a fireman. I am a, you know,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And
corporal,
then being able
whatever.
to understand delayed gratitude too. I think that's one of the most important things in any, successful endeavor that you're going to do, whether it's competing for an Ironman, right? That's not something you do tomorrow. It takes you a year to train for, depending on where you
Yes.
start. Or, building business. It's not something you'll be profitable right away. It might take you 12, 18, 24 months until you see your first profitable dollar. There's just things about it with that delayed gratification. If you can see the long road and everything about that first responder world is delayed gratification. Everything, right? It's, I mean, literally, guys will talk about their careers if they're getting out of Shawshank. They're, it's one of the only jobs in the world that I've ever heard that people will say how much time they have left as if it's like a victory.
Oh
You'll be like, "Hey
yeah.
man, how you doing?" You're like, "Good, dude. I got 11 left."
Yeah.
Like you're serving a prison sentence. But
Yeah.
like the whole point is, and they're talking
I
about when they get to retire and get the pension.
yeah.
And the whole point is that like they're in it for the long game, right? They get that delayed gratification, but there's this other missing piece, and that's the mission. And a lot of guys will get out of the military, and a lot of what leads to down the burnout, depression, suicide route is lack of mission, lack of purpose. And then a lot of guys get later in their first responder career and they're not the boots on the ground anymore because that's the young man's job. It's tough on the body. So they're, up in managerial and whether it's lieutenant, captain, chief, all that stuff, they kind of lose sight of the mission just a little bit, right? Doesn't take a lot. Obviously, we don't hold the same vigor that we did, when we first got on, bright eyed and bushy tailed. And so they want to create something new. And this gives them that without having to go reinvent the wheel or trade more time for money, which means more time away from family, more time away from surfing, more time away from you name it, whatever your thing is, whether it's, playing World of Warcraft or I don't care. But like, right, we all have the stuff that like we love doing. We don't want to trade that for more work, right? No one on their deathbed ever said, like, I wish I traded everything for work, right? It's the
Yeah.
opposite. How do we do that? How do we mix this skill set in with mission and a mission that they could fulfill and something that they can dive into? SOP driven, action oriented, and e-commerce is very in line with that. It's very granular, right? It's something that has proven systems and structures, that you can follow along. You follow, you know, essentially cadenced steps, with certain timelines, depending, obviously, there's manufactured stuff that like kind of will throw you left and right. But for the most part, everything can be very cadenced. That's why I started, teaching first responders. So, when I first retired, you have the weird rumor mill that says, Oh, I got fired, or lost my marbles and I went and started a surf camp in Costa Rica, whatever. But then you also had the other guys that were reaching out and saying, like, hey, what happened? How'd you do it? And then can you teach me?
Yeah.
And that's when I realized so many people want to know how to do this. So many people want to build something more.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
it's
that's,
so you've been around in the space long enough to know that every 2 years or so, the rumor goes out, up, Amazon selling on Amazon is dead, ecom is dead, and it's growing at an exponential rate.
yeah. I mean, in what was it, 2024, 19%. So, okay, here's the question I always pose to everyone when they say something like that, like online sales are saturated and whatnot. I'd say, okay, how many or what percentage of goods bought and sold do you think were online versus in a store? And most people would say, I don't know, 60, 70, 80%. And it's like 19% of goods bought and sold were done so online last year. Where do you think that's going? Because they predict by 2040, it'll be over 90%. Well, no shit. Like,
Yeah.
we all know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
all the stores
to
are gonna be
90,
automated.
19 and 90, and where it's saturated, I'm like, that doesn't add up to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely not failed. It's definitely not saturated. There are saturated products or areas, but honestly, you can be an outlier in that too.
I was going to say yes and no. It all depends about. So we teach on what's called a UVP, unique value proposition, or you'll hear USP, unique selling proposition. But are you iterating, right? Are you bringing something to market? So we're private label, right? This everything we do is private label. Is bring something newer, better, bigger to the market, and then how do you know? Well, study what the market's telling you. You have thousands of reviews, you have thousands of Reddits, you have thousands of comments, you have thousands of everything, and you have programs and platforms and softwares, including AI now, that can farm all that and just give you a synopsis. If I'm going to go build a coffee mug, that's the stupid metaphor I always give just because it's simple to understand. We all know coffee mugs, right? A nice, ceramic mug handle, cool. And I want to invent a new coffee mug. I'm not just going to brainstorm, you and I. Like, we might come up with and, you know, randomly blindly hit a bullseye, but like there's no way that you and I know what 400 plus million North Americans want. We don't, right? Or what the entire world wants, what billions of people, like, we just can't figure it out because we all have different ecosystems, different wants, needs, desires. So why don't we ask them? Well, you go farm these reviews, then you check out trends, what's trending related to coffee mugs, related to coffee,
Mhm.
what's on TikTok, what's on Google, what's on Meta, and then you go poll test it based off of what all these reviews are telling you and all these synopsis and all these trends, and you come up with a nice generic idea, and then you start poll testing and say, do people really want that? And then you can even do pre-sales and start ads for stuff and see if you can get at least 15 to 50 opt-ins and stuff like that, right? It's like before you even purchase inventory, before you even go to a manufacturer and get this thing built. And if you're able to see those niches within niches, right? Riches and riches, um, that's where the secret sauce is. It's do not build the same thing as the other guy because then we're all doing what's called the race to the bottom. And then it's just
Yeah.
a marketing game or whoever's selling it for less. But if you are truly bringing something better, right? So the cheesy example with the coffee mug is, let's say everyone in the world is immune to coffee and caffeine now, and they need twice as much, and so they need bigger mugs. And there's no way to hold a big mug with a single handle anymore. It's like, well, now I'm gonna be gallon
The
double handle
double
coffee
handle.
mugs. Yeah. And I'm just, well, I'm just going to pour it like a bucket. Like, what if that's what everyone wanted and that
Yeah.
didn't really exist out there? Well,
I
now you could go build it. And then additionally, if it's unique enough, get a patent on it. And now you have a moat. You're the only guy to campaign it, and you can license it to other people eventually. So you're not the one always manufacturing. And that's actually
Yeah.
a really big wealth.
Yeah.
But like, right, sell it to like Kroger or to Nescafe or someone like who can really take off with it. Uh, but that's how you get to market, right? And then all of a sudden, coffee mugs were saturated until they weren't.
Yeah. Well, for those of you listening right now, look out for Sean's new porcelain sippy cup for adults coffee mug coming out to a store near you.
To be an awesome product. I feel like that would be a gag gift that would actually sell. That'd be like one of those joke office gifts that you
Yeah.
give your buddy that has a pot a day, you know, or 2 pots a
Yes.
day. You'd
Yeah.
be like, "Here's your sippy cup, George."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Awesome. Well, let's dive into first of all, thank you for sharing all of this and your story and how you're helping others. It's incredible. And for a third time, I salute you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
It does mean as much to me as it does to others to see someone like you giving back to people to help them improve their lives. I think it's the most worthy cause.
Thank you.
There's people that do what you do. So, all right, I've got a couple, just a few questions here because we're already at the. This is quite a long episode and very worth it. If you're only watching the shorts on this, you should go and let me mark this in the timeline here. If you're only watching shorts on this episode, you need to go watch the whole thing on the YouTube channel. That's my little advertisement for you. Sean agrees. All right, so few questions for you. Let's start off with this. This is a deep one. What strategies do you see are working for new sellers today?
UVP, so take longer to get to market.
Okay.
That's the biggest one. I think the two sides of every coin. If we can't answer the what, then let's answer the what not. So what strategies aren't working, and that's rushing to market with unoriginal stuff, right? If I'm trying to figure out
My
what I
old
want in life,
strategy.
yeah, if I'm trying to figure out what I want in life, just name what I don't want, right? I don't want to be unhealthy. Well, that means I want to be healthy, right? So rushing to market with unoriginal stuff, that as I'm watching that fail left, right, up, down, center.
Yep.
Taking a
I
little
I
more time.
I I started failing at that a decade ago.
Yeah, exactly. But for
It's not
whatever reason,
Yeah,
I
it's
even
not
have
new news.
clients. I even have clients where I'm like beating my head against the wall, trying to get through to them. Like, do not go to market yet. Like, this is not refined enough. They're like, well, I just want to get some sales. And then I'll take the sales from this and then invest in and then really invest in like the next product. And it's like, there won't be another product. You're not going to get sales from this. And what you do is just going to be wasting an ad spend while you're trying to get ranking. And it's going to be horrible. You're going to have
Mm.
but they don't get it. And they're like, oh, my goal is just to get live before Christmas. I'm like, all right, well, you can only lead a horse to water. Can't make you thirsty enough to drinks. Um, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out ways to coach better so that I can get that out of their head, because some still think they're a special unique snowflake that can do it different and whatever. I want your results, but I want them my way, right? That whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that one thing that bothers me, I've done a little bit consulting here and there, um, and but not like paid consulting. And then of course I've always had conversations with people about life things, and it's always funny when someone seeks your advice to intentionally not do anything with it. You know? It's like,
We're
okay,
creating tension so we can decide. That's all we need. We need more tension so we can validate our own decision. Decision was already made.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a whole mindset manipulation thing. We
yeah.
all do it. So it's not like
I
they
try
them.
not to.
It's yeah, we all do it.
I try to be open to people's opinions. So okay, so
Yeah.
good. So not rushing to market, that would be one thing. What what's another thing that you're finding is that is working?
And then yeah, so take your time, get to market, refine it, take the extra 2 weeks, 2 months to refine your product, and then launch correctly. And how do we launch correctly? There's the magic word. And then
Yes.
there is no one special way, right? But how do we do our best to be risk averse and actually like get a product in front of people, right? You could have the best things to slice bread, but if no one knows about you, no one's going to buy it. And you could also have the shittiest things in sliced bread, but if everyone knows about you, a bunch of people are still going to buy it. So
That's right.
obviously getting eyeballs on your thing is the, most important, pun intended, right? Like get your eyeballs onto your product. And the way we do that now is affiliates, TikTok, Amazon, and Instagram. Those are the most revenue generating for your Amazon store and your D2C store. You should
Okay.
have all of those active at once, and then figure out how you can budget your ads. TikTok affiliates is obviously the cheapest because they only eat what they kill. But you're also going to do TikTok shop. You're going to do Google ads, slow budget, just get your algorithm going. And plus it's pretty basic. Google ads aren't really hard. I don't know.
Man, I
It's
used to
not
run
super
Google
advanced.
Ads. 15 years ago, I had a little ecom agency. I mean, SEO agency, And I
Mhm.
used to run ads back then. That was easy. These
Yeah.
days, like, I don't even wanna log in to learn it. Like, I tried to do an ad recently, and it was disapproved. I'm like, "I don't know why." I used
Yeah, yeah, I mean, the nice thing is that all these platforms, though, are doing everything on their end to make the end user find you. So they're making it easier.
Yes.
You just gotta structure it and then leave it alone. Um, and that's for SEO version, right? For search for keyword, which is Amazon and Google, and then you have demographic, which is all your social medias, right? Your Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, so if you could do all of them at once, right, that's your best chance of success. And then where do you drive traffic is always the number one. It doesn't really matter because 54% of your sales, regardless, are going to happen on Amazon. So you could drive everything to your own website or you could drive everything to TikTok shop. It doesn't matter because still a little over half the people are going to see your ad and then go to their Amazon Prime app and order it on there anyways.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
that's super interesting. So if it were my company, I'd drive everything to my Shopify to try to acquire those sales through Shopify first, because I am then also acquiring those identities, and that gives me a list that I can market to for the next product and stuff like that. And if 54% are gonna go to Amazon anyhow, well, I may as well send the traffic to my website and let those people go there anyhow and just make sure that it's obvious and easy for them to find my product
Yep.
on Amazon.
So that's during the scale. I break it up in phases. That's during
Okay.
scale, right?
Yep.
Everything better be driving, all your ads better be driving to your website where you're collecting data. But
Mhm.
during the launch phase, goal is sales velocity. I just need to get on
Yes.
the map. I just need to get
Yes.
shit ranked,
Yeah.
right? And part of that ranking is getting stuff on Amazon ranked too. So if I'm not driving external traffic to my Amazon storefront, right, then I'm kind of
Mhm.
missing the boat there, even though I'm losing customer data. So it's kind of, you got to kind of pick that.
Okay.
And this is why I say it's not black and white, how to launch correctly. We might be a purely Amazon launch with just throwing out some email campaigns. We might be a purely Instagram launch and TikTok launch because it's a male testosterone supplement. And those are hot and heavy right now. Pun intended. Nice. But like it really depends on the category and the node and whatnot. Some things are TikTokable, other things are not. Like kitchen organization tools, supplements, things that you use, products that you can show before and after. Those are hugely UGC advertising, right? You can have someone get all excited and show you how it works. And, makeup is huge for girls, right? Because here's before, now look at my gorgeous face after I painted it,
Mhm.
so it's, yeah.
Yep.
You get the picture on that.
Yeah,
But
you wouldn't want
the
me doing
biggest,
makeup videos, that's for sure.
what's that?
You wouldn't want me doing makeup videos, I guarantee you that.
Again, that actually might be a hit.
Would be. You know what? I would do it too, but it would be my daughters doing
Yeah.
makeup, like, "This is
You,
how you
you could
do
do
daddy makeup."
You could do hilarious makeup and then sell our gallon sippy cup for adults.
That's right. Done deal. Done deal.
But yeah, so long story short, like launching correctly, the mistake that I see is a lot of sellers get live, and because it is a lot of work and you're learning something new. So if you're a new seller and you learn something new, we suck at everything that we're new at, which is the whole motivation curve, right? We're waiting until we get motivated to start something, but we actually don't get motivated until we're creating momentum. But in order to create momentum, we just have to start. So it's this weird
Yeah.
back and forth.
I d s Dude, I can't tell you how much that resonates with me because, like, the podcast and producing content, even for my own business, for Ecom Triage, I am not producing content because 'cause I'm like, just how do I get started? What do I talk about?" And I know I know that all that needs to be done is to get started, and I'll figure out things to talk about. Like, I can chat GPT, "What do I get started with?" And then, "Cool, make me a script on that," and then cross-reference it and check it for, authenticity and accuracy, and then just start. But I'm like, but how do I do it?" So, it's so true that it is gonna you are gonna suck. Like, I'll tell you this, braiding my daughter's hair. I suck at it. You know why? Because 'Cause I've only done it like 5 times because I suck at it,
Yeah.
you know?
The
But if
irony,
I
right?
What's that?
The irony. And if you do it more, you'll get better at it. And then you'll
Yeah,
want to do it more because you're good at it. And
exactly.
then, yeah.
And yet I tell my children, like, "I understand it's not that great right now, you just need to practice." And here I am going, "I suck at braiding hair, I'm not French braid, that's
Mhm.
I'm American.
Yeah.
American braid, French braid, that's complicated, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so it's so funny how the practice what you preach kind of thing comes into play with this very heavily, especially in entrepreneurship.
I think the closing note on that is one of the last things that helps me because it's a daily battle, right? It's a daily battle to get through your wall of procrastination, sabotage, whatever you call it, attachment devices, right? What do you do when you're a little stressed and tired? Like, do you go snack? Do you get online? Do you? Well, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
We all have our thing. So, what do you
Yep.
do in that moment to just switch it over? Or you're afraid to start something, and by afraid, I mean you're just lazy, and by lazy, I mean you're just frozen. You don't even know, right? You're just kind of like, I don't know, like I don't know how to move. How do you get through that? And I suck at this, or I don't know how to do this, and then you put comma yet. So like, shoot, I don't know what to do, comma yet, which it leaves this like room for your brain to go problem solve. What does the yet mean? Your subconscious is always working for you. It's working in a way that you don't even understand, right? It's the thing that's constantly like connecting you to if we were to connect to everything in our attention sphere all at once, we would be overwhelmed and we'd probably blow up. So
Yeah,
we're
I
constantly
think
right
that's probably why we only use 10% of our brains is because we're like,
at
"Screw
once.
this.
At
Shut off
once.
90%."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use 10% at once. So we use majority of it. That's a myth. It's just different pieces
Oh,
at once,
fine.
right? But if we had it all turned on at once, right, it would be yeah, I'd be like aware of my digestion while I'm also trying to read, while I can feel the air going and I can hear the blood in my ears. Like there just wouldn't be any room for focus. So
Yeah,
how does
you'd
the
be
brain
Superman
focus?
when he first got
Yeah.
bathed in our sunlight.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, you just be completely overwhelmed with stimuli.
Yeah,
And so we realize that our brain is this massive focusing machine. We just need to tell it what to focus on. So if we're saying, I don't know how to do this, then you're telling your brain, focus on the fact that you don't know how to do this and just stick with that. And it's going to be efficiency machine too. So it's not going to do anything more. It's going to be like, you don't
yeah,
know how to do that. Don't do that.
yeah.
But if you put, I don't know how to do this, comma, yet, literally just putting that language in your mind. Now your brain, your subconscious is going to, what does yet mean? Your literal subconscious is going to figure out what is yet. Well, yet means that we need to get good at this. So let's figure out how to get good at this. And then your subconscious, your reticular activating system, your RAS, are going to start going to work for you so that it'll make sure that you do become good at that.
You know what that reminds me of? I forgot. Instead of, "I don't remember right now,"
Hmm.
I forgot. Like, full stop.
Yep.
"Ah, I forgot." And I try not to say that. It's like, "I don't have the answer for you right now. Let me think on that." But
Yep.
instead of "I forgot," or yeah. That's interesting. A little mental thing that I did a while ago, started finding myself, particularly after my accident, actually getting forgetful. Um, and so I try to trick myself to like remember, and I'm starting to do like it's kind of weird. In like I had a phenomenal memory. Uh, couldn't quite call me photo whatever it is where I had a photographic memory. See, I
Hmm.
fucking forgot that term.
Yeah. Right.
um, Had to think about that though. But yeah, I couldn't say that, but I had a very good memory retention process. And after like significant medical drugs and being laid up and injury and stuff like that, that significantly decreased. It was like a hard change over 3 months from this injury, bunch of drugs, and now I'm off all those drugs and painkillers and stuff like that, but my focus is severely hindered and my ability to communicate a full thought, and so I started doing detoxes and exercise and all that stuff. But yeah, okay, I don't mean to drive this off subject. It just like triggered something for me. You triggered me, man. I triggered
What
something
I'm
for
here for.
me. Yeah. Where I went, yeah, there was a point where I stopped saying I forgot because I didn't want to just admit the fact that I'd forgotten, you know? And full stop. That's the end of it. I forgot. I no longer retain that data in my head. It's there though. It's there. Like there have been times where someone asked me questions. I'm sure this has happened with everybody. Like, who was it that was in this movie? And you're like, and then 2 days later, you text me like, it was Bill Murray, Bill Murray, you know? but you're not sitting there thinking about it for 2 days. It just goes boop, so that totally falls in line with what you're saying. Subconscious is working for you. So that's why I never sleep. My subconscious keeps me awake at night. So, all right. Let's go into I'm just going to give you like one or two more questions because we're already an hour into this.
Yeah. Okay.
So, here's one. What are the biggest roadblocks for starting, launching, and scaling? This is going to be an hour subject as it is. We're going to cut this into 2 episodes, but go ahead.
Well, I'll make those biggest insight is not, I guess, separating the three. Like you're starting, you're launching, you're scaling. So count the small wins.
Strategically.
Yeah, strategically, right?
Okay.
Starting, launching, and scaling are three completely different energies, three completely different skill sets. I can start alone, I have to launch with help, and I have to scale with a team. Like that's your basic. I can start and launch and get to 1 million in sales, and then I will absolutely plateau unless I have a team. And so when I start, uh, I need to get good at stuff now. And then one of my mentors used to always say, get out there and fuck it up, meaning stop trying to perfect it before you get it to your next step. Like get it to as good enough as possible, your MVP, your minimum viable
Yep,
product,
minimum
get
viable product.
to the next
Software
step.
is the same way.
Yeah, software, exactly. Software's the same way because we're not going to be able to pre-guess the issues. We only know so much, right? If we have our UVP or USP and we bring something to market based off what the market told us, off thousands of reviews and Reddits and blogs and whatnot, it'll only get us so far. There's still going to be iterations that we're going to make. People are going to complain and be like, "Hey, that zipper isn't exactly what I wanted," or the strap could be blah blah. And you're like, "Oh, okay, cool. I couldn't foresee that, but if I get stuck in that like reminiscence phase of just trying to, oh, what if, what if, what if." The old joke is, what if my aunt had balls? She'd be my uncle. Like,
Yeah.
we could do this game all day. Like, like we don't do hypotheticals. At the end of the day, we
I'm
do
gonna
not do hypotheticals.
I'd like to make a shirt out of that.
Yeah.
What if my aunt had balls? She'd be my uncle.
Yeah, exactly. That was an old firefighter humor. I got to know
Yeah.
my audience on that one. So, but point being is like, just be efficient, be like act in urgency, but with patience. So obviously don't rush to market, but everything you do better be done without procrastination. So that's starting, and then launching is doing everything you can. Like, so set up that budget because it is expensive, and then run it across which platforms, right? Just like I was talking about. So it's everything online. So how can you get in front of the most converting eyeballs online? Right. And sometimes that's buying a Facebook group. Literally, I've seen that strategy before. A golfer selling a golf item will go buy a couple Facebook groups specifically about golf and then promote their products in there.
Yeah. So I actually a while back I thought about doing private labels in motorcycle products. And so I started a motorcycle group and it's got over 7,000 adventure riders in it
Heck
now.
yeah. Dang.
And like I never promoted it once. Just organically grew. And then I've got a buddy in the off-road space where we in another life I'm an off-road influencer in some way.
Nice.
More an influencer of influencers, but I've got my own channel. But we've got sponsorships. Like our rigs are sponsored. We've done like full-blown content videos, like long form, like crazy content videos for our sponsors and stuff like that. And so that when I coming in here and into the Amazon space and being in that space is like, I need to start building audiences. And so that's what I've been working on.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that stuff's super valuable.
Yeah.
Because again, that's going to help you launch and scale. It's just ridiculous. Getting consistent, authentic eyeballs is everything. Which I'm still learning. It's always a learning thing because then the algorithms all shift and I don't know. It's just constant. It's content is king. Keep pushing it out there. We now have all these AI tools to create content and post for us. There's really no excuse, and I'm saying this to myself, by the way, because
Look, I'm saying this to myself. Like, yeah, he's right, Danon. He's right. You've said the same thing before.
Yeah, there's literally AI avatar. Like you can use captions or I think it's 11 Labs and HeyGen to create your own AI avatar.
Yeah.
And it looks like this. It looks like you and me talking. And then you could just say, talk about this, create me 50 shorts. and then post them twice a day.
Crazy.
Took me 3 minutes, and all of a sudden I have 25 days worth of posts. Like, there's just no excuse. And again, I'm saying this to myself right now. So,
I know.
um,
Because the question is are you doing it?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm not.
Because, well, the strategy is changing. And so it's trying to keep up with the strategy. And a lot of it was crap before, right? The mouth would be
Yeah.
moving like an ear ball.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird. It would say one word and the mouth is just doing the,
I know. I
yeah,
would I
it's
would
like a dog licking peanut butter.
right. All right, cool. Well, look, I've got one last question for you, and then I think we're gonna cut this off because it's just you're making more than 10% of my brain work at the same time. All right, what's the secret sauce to success? Give it up.
Yeah. Uh, it's waking up in the morning, and if you don't fail, you don't quit. It's constantly reminding, right? What connects you to your creator? What connects you to source? Um, I think we all get, and whoever wants to pick up on this, whatever, if you think it's woo woo, whatever. But I think we all get caught in the paradigm that, we're human beings living a human life, and forget that we're actually like spiritual beings connected to an energy and a source. And uh,
I believe
not
we're
to get
spiritual beings living in a human life.
absolutely. But like, what does that even mean, right? The fact that like matter isn't even matter at its most granular form, like it's more space than anything, and then every energy is connected, and that consciousness is the shared thing that we're all experiencing in our own unique way, but we're all like connected in that, but we have separate bodies, minds, but unique souls. But like this whole thing is vast, right?
Did you
And
just give the plot to Avatar? Just
yeah.
asking for a friend.
Yeah, exactly. Or Fern Gully, depends on what
For
decade you're in.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
Avatar is just the newer version.
yeah. uh, Point being is the truest and most authentic thing, right? Is we can say we're a body, but at the same time, I could still think about my body and recognize it and be aware of it. I can say no, reality is my mind, but there's so many thoughts that come in and out that are not mind, right? Where do half our thoughts even come from? We don't know. My heart, oh, I'm all heart. It's like, dude, your heart's doing its own thing with or without you. Like, it's going to stop beating. It's going to start beating no matter what. Like, yeah, you have some like autonomous control over it, but at the same time, this like all this stuff is operating without you. And so we have the power of the observer. And the observer is being aware of this, right? I am aware that I am a spirit and a body. I'm aware that I am a whatever you want to call it. And so where does that energy come from? It comes from what I call source, God, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. The fact is connect with it. Connect with that source so that you can enter back into this 3-4 dimensional world locked in time and operate from it in a creative and powerful state instead of being in fight or flight.
I
When
love
we're
that.
stuck in fight or flight, we can't create anything. When we're connected to source, we can create whatever the hell we want. We become manifesting machines. So what's the secret sauce? Prayer, meditation, whatever you do to connect to source, shut out the noise for a second so that when you come back in, you can delegate and automate. Like, that's it. That's it for me.
All right, I love it. And funny thing, I told you about my buddy that who's a pastor. I happen to have this right here. This is
Yeah.
it's for the so they do a similar thing for the women of the church, but man camp, and you literally like you've got an agenda that you go through, and
Heck yeah.
like the pastors come up and talk, and you know have you reflect, and that was another thing is reflection. They're heavy on reflection, and so they talk about a subject like, cool, go have 10 minutes by yourself, and this is on couple hundred acres, this man camp, and go reflect, and it was really really cool. And so yeah, I definitely I agree with you on that, and there's not a lot of religious people out there in comparison to years gone by, but I think it definitely helps. It's if nothing else, it'll keep you tied to some better morals than perhaps are on the
Yeah.
internet.
Did you be surprised? I think the stats are showing that people are coming back to structured spirituality versus
Well,
like
that's good.
free flowing, right?
Yeah.
And call religion what it is. There's religiosity and there's pros and cons there, but like the structured spirituality, right? Like, what does that mean? Structure provides room for freedom. Lack creates chaos. So, what boundaries are we operating in so we know which way to flow, right? And dude, I absolutely love that the man camp. We used to have one out here too.
Really.
Yeah, through Mosaic Church. Um, there is something so unique about just men getting together because whenever a woman's in the room, she becomes everyone's subconscious focus because we are instinctively made to protect and provide for her. And so no
Or
matter what,
impress. Some of us are made to impress.
right, protect, provide. But we'll
Yeah,
figure it out, right?
yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna have the peacocks, you're gonna have the
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like, point is as soon as a woman's in the room, she has our focus, subconscious
Yes.
or consciously. As soon as she's out of the room, we can finally focus as men and come back and talk about our like primals and get into how do I get back into the world into service, because a man's true calling is to serve. And if you are not doing something of service, you're obviously not answering your full masculine. And so how do I get back in the world as a true man to serve those around me? And you can't do that when you're already subconsciously thinking about the person you might serve in the room. Right. So
Yeah.
it's this interesting thing when you actually get a man's camp or a men's group or just like a couple men together just talking about man shit. Half the time it's hilarious jokes talking about movie quotes because we're like just steaming, getting rid of all the shit before we get to the authenticity. But like there's something so unique about that. So yeah, highly recommend
Oh,
it. Do
cool.
do those men's retreats, even if you're just an observer, but just go.
Yeah. Dude, thank you for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Is do you want to provide like a way for people to get a hold of you? You don't have to, it's totally fine. You can give out your agency. So obviously Sean is a successful seller. He knows what he's talking about. He's done it and does it. He's done it, did it, and does it. And so let's just put out your agency. How do people get a hold of you if they need help on Amazon?
Yeah, ecom for heroes.com, one M. So ecom, just like ecom triage for FOR heroes.
Awesome.
And heroes is obviously directed around first responders. But I mean, as long as we're obviously selective with who we work with, but it's a shared mindset of, do you have core values, right? Do you have integrity, teamwork, courage, commitment, community, like that sense of hard work ethic and grit? Those come, organically with the badge. But if you also share those, like, I'm not biased. Like, obviously,
Cool.
I understand that,
Oh,
like, there are other
you're not a
people
first
who are also,
responder. Get out of here.
right. Yeah. There are other people who are also hardworking and good. Like, I get
Yeah.
that fully, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, this is our niche. And so that's why we prefer to work with them. But at the same time, like, I get it. That could be anyone. So yeah, absolutely reach out. Just understand that those are our core values and our mission. So if you align, we would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Once again, this has been an awesome episode. We've gone deep into quite a few different things: religion, manhood, injury, mental. This is. I'm really excited for the listeners to be on this one. So thanks
Awesome.
again for being here, dude.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. See ya.